One of the really cool things that I've come to appreciate is the ability to share positivity.
What do I have to bring to the table? Like, I'm not an expert, but I think what I really liked is we all have this vision that this will be our journey.
Most people will look at a top producing realtor or a top producing loan officer, top builder, an Ed Milet who's got hundreds of millions of dollars, and they go, I want to do what he's doing, instead of thinking, I want to do whatever he did to get there.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are so excited to have you. My name is Chad Sabalka. Welcome to Burn the Ships podcast. I'm joined, as always, with two of my very best friends, GT, Mr. Garrett Townsend, Chris Royer. We're really excited to have you guys. This is our pilot. This is our first swing at this, but it is something that we've really wanted to do for a really long time, and now it's come to fruition, and we're excited to have you guys with us. So, to start off the podcast, we thought it'd be a good idea for this first episode, to give you our position with this whole thing. Everybody seems to have a podcast these days, and we wanted to kind of explain to you guys, and frankly to each other, what our vision is for this and why we want to do this, and what motivated us to do it. But before we do that, we figured not all of my friends know Chris, and not all of Garrett's friends know me, and so on and so forth. So we figured we take just a minute, introduce ourselves, introduce the podcast name, and then we'll jump into everything I just talked about. So GT, why don't you take it?
Cool, man. So yes, Garrett Townsend. I am a farm boy from South Louisiana. Moved to Colorado here about 25 years ago. I am a dad. I am a lover of Jesus. I love people. The big thing for me in doing this, I've spent most of my life obsessed with growing and getting better. And I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching and seminars and trainers and life coaches and, you name it, I've done it. And I've always just wanted to share, right? Like I'm not a professional or an expert at any of them, but I've learned a lot from each one of them. And I've always just wanted to have some sort of a platform to share. And, if somebody can grab one single nugget that helps them grow, then that's a success for me. And, so that's a little bit about me.
Mr. Royer?
Yeah, so I am a Colorado native, grew up in the southeast Denver metro area, and love Colorado, love everything it has to offer. I am a proud, happy dad to two boys and a brand new baby girl. So we took a little break and we got the girl finally. So my wife Kendra and I are super excited about that. Love my wife, love Jesus, love my people. Just like Garrett, I love being around people as much as possible, and that's kind of how we run our business here. Is it's all about the people. So we love showing our people how much we love them, and that's a big part of my life is just being around my people and motivating them and kind of doing life together. So yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about me.
I think all three of us, genuinely, that's a big piece of this for me. But my name's Chad Sabalka. I'm also one of the few remaining Colorado natives around here, married to an amazing woman, Kylie. We have two little boys, Landon and Carter. They're my reason why for everything. But I'm a follower of Jesus. I love faith. I love fitness. I love growing my business. And I almost selfishly wanted to start this because these two guys, if you don't know them, are two of the greatest human beings I've ever met in my life. I am honored to partner with both of them in different respects. Chris and I have a business together. GT and I work together in business together, but he has his, I have mine. These two guys are two guys who I have immense respect for. They're men of integrity. They're men of honesty. But they also call you on it if you're slacking. They're like, dude, what's up? They always want what's best for everybody. And in this world, a lot of people feel like when they find that gold nugget, when they find the silver bullet for business, they want to hoard it and hide it. They feel like I don't want everybody else to know this secret that I figured out. Whether it came, I was really big in video. GT, you're huge in coaching. Chris, you've done amazing things with client appreciation events and so many other things, specifically talking about business. everybody likes hiding it. And they don't want the secret to get out.
Don't want to share.
Then they're not going to have as big a piece of the pie. But these two guys, if they find something, they want to share it with the world. So this is our platform to do it with that. And selfishly, I might gain a couple of nuggets. So this is something that Garrett, I'll say GT a lot. That's Garrett Townsend's nickname. So this is something we've talked about for a year or more.
Yeah.
And Chris, I know we've talked about it. So
For like a week.
For like a week. So we're all really excited to do it.
And guys, just know, again, none of us are professional speakers. None of us are experts in any arena. We're just literally three dudes that decided to do this, that we feel like we have some good things to share. And man, I mean, we've had so many conversations that we're like, man, that could be a podcast. That could be a podcast. We could share that. And so that's what we're going to do. I mean, most of these are literally going to be us talking on topics, and we'll bring in guests and whatnot, but it's just going to be three guys that are just normal guys. None of us are billionaires, and none of us are, there's nothing crazy special about us other than we're just driven and we're motivated. And I believe we all want to be the best versions of ourselves. And that's what you're going to get with us.
So the name Burn the Ships, pretty aggressive name, right? So it harkens all the way back to the early 1500s when Cortez landed his fleet of ships in Mexico. It was the first explorers to get there. It was a very rough crossing. He was really worried about mutiny and his men going back to Europe. So when he got there, he ordered them to burn the ships, so that there was no retreat, no surrender. You committed to it. You decided this was the path you were going to take, and you had to do it. So that's kind of our mantra for the podcast is all three of us, whether we're committing to a new fitness regimen, a daily devotional, a book, a relationship, where we like the attitude of burning the ship.
Yeah.
And that's not burning a bridge. We want to build bridges. We want to build bridges with everybody.
Lots of bridges.
But we when we commit, we fully commit ourselves to it, and that is something I can speak in spades to both of these guys with. So that's the name of the podcast, Burn the Ships.
Yeah, it's funny. Last night I said it to Rachel, and by the way, I want to throw this in there. I don't think I gave honor to my wife. I am a married man as well, and I have an amazing wife. I'll kick my coverage big time on that one, and everybody that knows.
All three of us did.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it, what lies we told them, but shoot, all three of us outkicked the coverage when we came to our wives. Our wives are obviously all gorgeous, but they are all such ardent supporters of ours.
Yeah. Fans. And that's what it's about, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, so it's funny though. She asked me last night, she's like, Burn the Ships, I don't get it. Who came up with that? I'm like, well, Chad didn't come up with it, but we came up with that as a name. He didn't come up with the saying. She goes, what does it mean? And I was like, babe, it means once you decide you're taking over that island, you're burning the boats. There's no plan B for bringing your A game. There is no retreat. It's all in. It's all gas, no brakes. I mean, I could think of so many different analogies of burn the ships, right? But it's just one of those things where once I had to explain that to her a little bit, she got it, but she had never heard burn the boats or burn the ships. And it's always been one of my all-time favorites.
Tony Robbins,
yeah, my dude, man. I mean, he always said burn the boats, which I'm not going to throw that word out, but
disclaimer, that might happen once or twice. We are all men of God, but sometimes a slip of the tongue when we get passionate. So apologies at the very outset if that happens.
Kendra and I had a very similar conversation. And I had never heard of burn the ships or burn the boats. I kind of looked into it a little bit, and then I had to explain to her what it was. Or the main word that I think of with burn the boats is desperation. When you're desperate for something, you're going to have a different mindset than if you're comfortable. So that's how we've all created our businesses to get where we've gotten, is we got to pay the bills. Like we left everything behind, and we're moving forward, and we're desperate to pay those bills and support our families. So that's what it means to me, and that's what I explained to Kendra.
Yeah, and build a legacy, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. None of us are satisfied with paying the bills. That's the beginning of the journey.
Well, Chris prepared some questions for us to help better articulate this and our vision. So fire away, Chris.
So I was a little bit late to the game with this podcast thing, and you guys kind of already had like a vision. So when we met the other day, I was kind of trying to figure this out, and then we decided, hey, let's just put this on the podcast. So instead of you guys explaining to me like your visions the other day, let's do it right now. So I came up with some questions, and Chad, we'll start with you. You've already talked about this a little bit, but what inspired you to start this podcast?
A lot of it was this guy. Was Garrett. So we were shooting some little reels, I think, here, and we went out to lunch after, and we just had a conversation about, would you ever want to do this? There's so many already out there, and like he said earlier, I'm not a billionaire, right? I didn't drive here in a McLaren. I didn't win the Mr. Olympia. I'm not a Navy SEAL. But what I am is I am a business owner who did succeed in a business that 80-90% quit. I am a deeply loving family man, and I believe that I'm raising I'm blessed with 2 boys. I believe I'm raising them to be good men one day. Obviously, every marriage has its ups and downs, but my wife and I are an extraordinarily good team together, and I'll never say I have marriage figured out, because if one of you can look me in the eye and say you figured that one out completely, but I do believe myself to be a good husband. And like Garrett said, if I can share one of those silver bullets I was talking about earlier, or just help improve somebody's day, if we say something funny on here that makes somebody laugh, or give somebody the motivation to start that fitness routine, or put down the 4th Coke they were going to pick up, or frankly, get a little deeper and put down the bottle, or stop going to the casino, or turn left and go home instead of turning right to go to the strip club. If we get to that level, then this thing has paid it off in spades.
Yeah.
Whether we get new business from this, whether we get leads from this, whether we get even views from it. If we get 1 view, but that 1 view changes somebody's life for the positive, every single second was worth it.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. I mean, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get the authentic us.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get. I don't think any of us are trying to be anybody we're not. Like I said, I mean, for me, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching. And I look at, the parts of my life when I've been at my best. It's always been when I had a personal trainer, when I had a business coach, when I had a life coach, when I had a good therapist, when I had all those things in my life that were keeping me accountable and keeping me on track. I've always been a good student. And I think one of the biggest keys to being a good teacher is being a good student, and having that mindset that I'm broken, that I'm far from anything great, but I have this burning desire, and I think we all do, to be great and to be at least that greatest version that God intended for us to be, in that plan that He had for us. Yeah, man, I am so stoked for this, because I just think that I know just some of the conversations that we've had. I could think of 2 or 3 that I'm like, yep, somebody, that right there, that thing you just said is going to change somebody's life, right? Like that right there is going to be a nugget that's going to resonate, that's going to change somebody's life. And whether it changes it, but as long as it improves it, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, that's what gets me so fired up about this.
Yeah.
Chris, you being the newcomer, there are other things you could have been doing today. You could have been finishing the renovations on the house, hanging out with your new baby girl, but you decided to be here doing this. What inspired you to come do it?
I think just the brief conversation we had the other day about you guys' vision, and I just super intrigued with everything I've learned from you guys so far with our weekly get-togethers the past few weeks. And then I was a little skeptical at first, because I was like, what do I have to bring to the table? Like, I'm not an expert. I'm not a billionaire.
I feel like that's sitting here right now.
I'm not a lot of things, but I think what I really liked is we all have this vision that this will be our journey. And all of us are in growth mode right now. And we've got that growth mindset. We've got that mindset of abundance where we want to share what we know and what we've learned. And so I'm super excited about that. Garrett, we'll start with you on this one. How do you envision the format and the structure of the episode of our podcast?
Just like we did yesterday. We came up with 20, 30 topics, and we write them down, and that's going to be kind of the structure or whatnot. But the reality of it is we're constantly watching YouTubes and watching other people's people's podcast and, reading books and, reading the Bible and reading like right now, the Purpose-Driven Life that, 40 chapters in 40 days. And literally I could almost do a episode on each chapter every single day, right? So I don't think that there's going to be an overwhelming amount of structure. I think we know the topics that we want to hit throughout the year. I think we've already identified several guests that we want to have on that will talk about certain things. But yeah, man, I mean, this isn't going to be brand new for all of us, right? And this is just one of those things. I think we'll figure it out. And, as more people start to view it, maybe we'll reach out to them. What do you guys want to hear? What can we talk about that, 3 dudes sitting in a front sitting room of our house that can come up with some good nugget that somebody wants to hear? That's, I don't think we're overly structured on this thing.
Yeah, I envision, a couple things. Yes, we get the overview topic, but it's just us sitting around a campfire or sitting at a bar and just organically talking about life and love and finances and fitness and God and all these other things. And having a little bit of structure, having that one topic to focus on. And so, if somebody's looking for, being an entrepreneur and we spend the entire time talking about how to get a fitness regimen going, obviously we don't want that for a podcast. We want to stick to topics that intrigue people and that we're talking about.
And stay on topic.
Which we will go off topic. I guarantee we are going to go down rabbit holes like nobody's business, but just having talks like this.
Yeah, it's authentic, man.
It's who we are. Questions, but none of these were rehearsed. I didn't write anything down. I thought a little bit about what I wanted to say on the way over here, but just hanging out and just having a fireside conversation.
Yeah, love it. How do you think we can differentiate this to make us different than all the other million podcasts out there?
Well, most of the big podcasts, obviously we're not Joe Rogan. I don't know if we're going to get Elon on here. I don't know if Richard Branson can pencil us into his busy schedule, but...
you never know, though.
I mean...
Dream big, right?
You never know. Dream big. So how I see us being different is the fact that we are 3 men who are in the growth phase of our life. None of us own 50 billion properties. We own some. None of us are the number 1 producer in our industry. We're well above the average and we're more than feeding our families. We are thriving, but we can almost speak to what needs to be done more than somebody who did it 5 years ago and is now getting the rewards of it. We're in the trenches right now. As far as fitness goes, I just lost 40 pounds. GT, you've done bodybuilding competitions before. Chris, you were a college athlete. So we do have all these pieces, but we are in the grind today. And I think that piece there, we all have young kids. We're all up and down in our faith, as most men are who are men of God. It comes and goes and there's struggles with it. And I think that is what could make this podcast really, really cool, is that we are all currently in all of those life struggles. And that could give really unique perspective. And it is genuinely something that I think is pretty unique that sitting here trying to think about it, I can't think of a podcast like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I can think of is what you're saying, and I'm just going to put it a different way, is most people will look at a top producing realtor or a top producing loan officer or, a top builder or an Ed Milet who's got, whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars. And they go, I want to do what he's doing, instead of thinking, I want to do whatever he did to get there. You know what I'm saying? It's like putting that cart before the horse.
Shout out Ed Milet if you want to come on our podcast.
Right? But that's the biggest thing, is we're still in the process of that journey, climbing that ladder of life to get there. And I'm not saying that those guys, I'm sure they're just scratching the surface, right?
Yeah.
But it's always funny to me. Somebody goes, man, I want to do what he's doing. Well, that's not the question. The question should be, what did he do to get there? I want to do what he did to get there, right? Because that is the bigger thing. And I think we're in that phase of our lives. Even though I'm 50, I'm an old dude, but I feel like even at 50 years old, I've just literally scratched a little piece of the surface of my growth, because the older I get, the more I want to grow. And I just feel like we're in that growth phase. And so people can relate, I think, a little more to that than some of these other podcasts when, a lot of those people are already there. And I think that's the big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys read Ed's book, Go One More? Have you read that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen him speak.
But that's what resonated with me when you just said what you said. To get there, you have to go one more. You have to do that extra rep. You got to do that extra set. And that's what gets you really want to be.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Burn the ships. Yeah. Commit to it.
You're working out, starts to burn, you just quit. Or do you just keep going through the burn?
You keep going through the burn.
That's where you grow.
GT, who do you envision our target audience being for this show?
I think the best target audience for us is going to be maybe even a younger demographic of people that are in that growth mode and looking for that little bit of inspiration, that little motivation, those nuggets. And I think people that are like us, maybe even people that are older than us, but they're just hitting the wall. They're hitting the wall, whether it's in business, whether it's in their marriage, whether it's in their fitness or whatever. And we just know that we will either address those topics ourselves, or we will have an expert or somebody come in that's obviously doing it very well, and they will take away from that. But I believe our biggest audience, honestly, is going to be us.
Yeah, just like us
out there.
Yeah.
Because, for me personally, man, I love authentic people just like me that are in the same grind, dealing with the same stuff that I'm dealing with. And usually they have just a little bit different perspective that can literally change a mindset. That can change it all.
Yeah, one of the beautiful things about the social media instant gratification world we now live in, which there frankly are few and far between. It can be a real war with social media, but one of the really cool things and things that I've come to appreciate is the ability to share positivity. If you just scroll Facebook's horrible. You're just gonna get really depressed. But you will get, the picture of the puppy or whatever. But if you look at like my YouTube, how the algorithm keeps throwing up what you want to keep you engaged to get those ad dollars. But what it also will do is if you are continually looking for the motivation and looking for positivity and, looking for the Lombardi speech or the Kobe speech or Ed Milet or David Goggins, eventually the algorithm just starts pouring positivity into you.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's who ends up watching this, is people who want to be motivated and people who are maybe struggling, like I alluded to earlier. If one of these conversations helps one of them, awesome. I think our target demographic is anybody looking for motivation, looking for happiness, looking for fitness, financial, God advice, whatever. I think that's our target audience. And I think that should be everybody. Yeah. So when I've been at my absolute best, rocking kids, rocking marriage, rocking faith, rocking fitness, that's actually when I kind of go after that stuff more. I try to...
It's that momentum.
Yeah.
You feel it. You feel that life momentum, and it just amps you up more and more to go get more of it.
Exactly. So we're not just looking for, the lost souls. I think that, everybody could benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about like these dream guests. How about, have you guys thought about some potential guests that you'd like to ask on the show in the short term?
I'll let you feel it.
Yeah, God has blessed me with some of the best clients, best friends and relationships. But I have friends that are elite trainers, physical, like train elite athletes. I haven't even asked them yet, but I'm sure that once this thing grows, they would join us. One of my favorite human beings that has ever walked the planet, and one of my best friends is, he was an elite team guy for the Navy. I'm not going to go into too much detail just because he wouldn't. But we'll probably have him on here and talk about some leadership and some things that he's been through and whatnot. One of my clients was a diplomat. He was like the U.S. ambassador. I haven't asked him yet either, but who knows if he'd show up or if he'd come. But, just guys like that. Like I literally want it to be all these different walks of life. Like I don't really want it to be just channeled into fitness or just channeled into, marriage or parenting or business or, I kind of see it like who pops in our head that would be very cool to have on the show that could share something that somebody's going to love to hear. Just
can't wait.
Yeah, I'm going to completely resonate exactly what you said. I want people on this who have an interesting story to tell. Not that they don't necessarily have to have climbed Mount Everest or, been the guy who kicked in Bin Laden's door or won a Super Bowl.
Right.
If somebody has a health battle that they overcame, they beat cancer and the doctor said they couldn't do it, or if they started a business that their aunt said, that's not a good idea, but they didn't listen and they persevered through it, or if it's as simple as a weight loss journey, it doesn't have to be a huge, if somebody lost 60 pounds and people didn't think that they could do it, all of those things, they pour positivity out. So if anybody's got a great story, a great lesson, it doesn't even have to be a lifelong thing. just a snippet, I think would be well worth it. And
That's Louis. That's Louis, by the way.
We got the podcast mask.
But the biggest thing in going back to when you say, somebody has a life story. I mean, dude, our wives, all three of us, without a doubt, we will be having our wives separately as a guest. Maybe even we do one with everybody. But nevertheless, I mean, they've got stories and they've got value and all that. So 100% that's coming, just so you guys know.
If we did all three, that would be dangerous. That'd be like
that could be fun.
That would be
genuinely. If we did,
that would be a 5-hour podcast for sure.
Well, we could break it up into a couple, but obviously all of our wives have crazy backstories that are amazing. They're all incredible women. But sitting the three of them down together and getting, because we are three guys.
Maybe we just let those guys. Maybe we let those three host the podcast one day, right? Like instead, like we just don't even show up. We just have them do it.
But having conversations about marriage and husbands and expectations, loves, all that sort of stuff, I think would be great because we all do have amazing wives. Chris, who do you want to have on besides Indiana Jones?
For Jesus and Indiana Jones. They're my inspiration. First person who comes to my mind is my wife, for sure. I mean, she studied for a long time to be a holistic health coach, and then family kind of took priority, so she hasn't really been able to share all of that amazing knowledge with the world. And I think it'd be fun to let her share that. She put our family front and center and kind of put that on the back burner, and obviously we've seen the benefits of everything she learned, but she would just love to share more of that. So
yeah, I can't wait for that.
She'd be the first one for sure.
I can't wait for that one. That's one of those things I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I don't think I have any more questions for the basis of our podcast here. I wrote some notes on kind of what I think our vision looks like, and I want you guys to maybe share with me if you agree or if there's some things we need to change in that. But what I wrote is join us on our journey to be the best men that God intends for us to be, laser focused, imperfect fathers, seeking the code for health, happiness, life balance, and generational wealth.
I think that's perfect. And one of the things I like most about it is the word journey.
Yeah.
Because none of us are at the end of our journey. We're not even close.
Not even
like
close.
you've said it 15 times this podcast is we're just scratching the surface. And I genuinely believe that about all of us is I'm not going to say the three of us. I'm going to speak about you guys. You two have unlimited potential. Unlimited. And like I've said like 15 times, it's an honor for me to get to witness your journey and share with the world.
Yeah, I think it's a huge honor. I think the thing that I like the most about what you just said was imperfect, because I look at it and go, we're imperfect fathers, we're imperfect husbands, we're imperfect in business, we're imperfect in every aspect of our life. And, I think that's the key to growth, is to look in the mirror and go, hey, I mean, I am imperfect or I'm broken. I say that a lot. I'm just a broken human being, just wanting to get a little bit better every day. That's what drives me, know. Am I as broken as some people? Absolutely not. But to me, I know that, again, what God has in store for you and me and everybody else in there, I mean, it's His plan. We were all made in His image. And I think the best thing and the best way that we can honor Him is just to always strive at being that best version of ourselves. Yep. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do, right? It's nobody else's journey. My journey's mine, and yours is yours, and Chris, yours is yours. And I love that imperfect, though, because I think so many people need to accept that in their own life.
Yeah, in the social media world of today, everybody wants to put on the perfect face, pretend like everything to, show to the outside world, hey, I have the perfect house. I have the perfect family.
It's the highlight reel.
Exactly. Exactly. It's
the
highlight reel.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Seeing wedding pictures and new baby pictures is great, but I think all three of us recognize that I'm not even 1% perfect, let alone 100% perfect.
No. So that's it, people. I mean, honestly, to me, what this is about is three dudes coming together, sharing what we have to share, and just hoping that we can improve the world a little bit by, one person at a time.
You want to come on a ride with us?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's a journey. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's bring as many people as we can on it with us. That's what makes it fun, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.